Welcome to Dissecting Tyrone. I'm Jason.
I'm Brandon.
And this is Season 2, Episode 5, Trick or Treat, when a man leads with his wallet.
Man, oh man, we got a lot to talk about.
Boy, man, hey, and that's the culture today, man. Like, everybody wants to lead with that wallet. Like, women want men to lead with their wallet because they're always asking about bills, and men are complaining about it. And, like, that's a serious situation.
Absolutely. And then sometimes you see the guys who just want to think that they stunting and they come off like, oh, I got this, I got that. But at the end of the day, like, what we really doing? So
right. And this is Halloween coming up. So when this airs, Halloween will be the next day, Friday. So we thought we'd do a play on words and make it trick or treat when a man leads with his wallet.
Yes, sir. Let's get into it.
All right. Now, I got my questions over here, so I'm going to look to the side a little bit. First question is, what really makes a man a trick? Like, to you, Brandon, what makes a man a trick?
So like from us growing up, the hood definition, when a guy uses his money to get what he wants out of a woman. So like that's the initial definition. But one of the homies, he said he brought this conversation up actually a couple of weeks ago. He said if a guy is considered a trick, then what does that make the woman who's receiving that and who's taking it? We don't want to obviously put any names, like name drop or categorize them. But if we're gonna call the guy the trick, historically, that's like a John. That's like somebody who may be on a stroll looking for some action. And in essence, if he's leading with the money, somebody's taking the money on the other end, then, we got to call a spade, unfortunately, if you're in that culture. And we're not saying that every single man is like that, every single woman is like that, but just from a historical definition, it would almost make sense.
Well, first of all, let me say I agree. A trick to me is when a woman messes with a guy that she normally wouldn't mess with, and he uses his money to make her mess with him, deal with him, date him.
Yep.
That's a trick to me. But you're right. Historically, it comes from prostitution.
Right.
Like a trick would be a John or somebody who pays for pays for the sex. And I think that's been part of the big debate. And one of the reasons why we wanted to talk about this is because I see so many men that get online because a woman's online talking about, a man needs to pay her bills and, she got rent due and she not going to have. And a lot of men are starting to call that out and say, hey, that's modern day prostitution.
Absolutely.
Like that's an exchange for money. So to you, what do you think? Do you think that's a form of prostitution?
I think it's a form. It looks like a different form because to keep it all the way real, there are women out there who mess with guys who's going to trick off money, and there may not be any sexual favors exchanged, but they want to look good on their arm, or they may want one of those things where it's like, oh, I feel good because she's a baddie and we're in this baddie culture and I'm contributing to that. So in their mind, they may think, oh, that's my lady. Or they may want, if they're going to give up something, they're going to want something in return. And then that's where you have this turmoil. And I think people are just now finally, it may be kind of coming to it's always going to be some type of tricking going on. But just the way that the social media wave, I think that bubble might be busting soon because people are like, men and women are like, nah, I'm kind of cool on this now.
Yeah, see, I as far as calling it prostitution, I don't know if I'll go that far.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll go as far to say it's prostitution. However, I will say that if a woman has no interest in a man outside of the money he gives her, like the gifts and the money, that's tiptoeing the line for sure. I'm not going to call it prostitution. Right. But it's definitely tiptoeing the line to me.
You in the ballpark. So and the thing is, I think it boils down to you have to understand your values as a man, your values as a woman, and what you're willing to do or compromise. If you standing 10 toes down and you like, nah, I don't care how much money you got or how you're leading off, or from the guy's perspective, like, I don't care how bad you are, I don't want you so much to where I lose myself and I lose my paycheck. Like, people got to wake up.
Man, I'll be honest with you, man. Back in the day, I remember going to Tijuana with some of my buddies because they kept telling me, like, man, down in Tijuana, they got whole houses, and these chicks look like J-Lo. They bad in here. You would buy one. And I said, dude, I would never pay for a prostitute. Right. And they're like, no, the homie said that too, but when he got down there, he was looking for an ATM. And I was like, dude, I would never pay for a prostitute. And they were like, no, you would think different if you saw him. So one day we're all in San Diego kicking it, the homies, we in San Diego. And at the time, Tijuana's a short drive. You didn't even need a passport at this time.
Yeah, you go right across the border.
Right. So we was like, let's go. So we went to Tijuana. We get over there, and first of all, Tijuana that's a different place, man. Have you ever been?
Yeah, so I was stationed. I was in boot camp in San Diego, and we were forbidden to go. We got close enough to see some of the craziness and hear the stories, but we didn't actually cross over into there.
I see why y'all were forbidden to go, man.
Right.
They had like donkey shows, and man, like as soon as you walk in, it's probably 3 a.m. You got like 6-year-old kids asking to show you to the prostitution houses for $1. So I'm like, man, this is crazy. So we go into this. It looks like a club, looks like a nightclub, and you walk in, and all the women are dressed a little freaky, and it really real life looked like J-Lo everywhere. Like women were drop dead gorgeous to where I'm like, man, like why would you if you look this good, you can get one man to trick on you. Why would you be in here? But that's a different story. So anyway, one by one, I see my buddies going up, and I'm just like, man, and my buddy, he comes down, and the chick comes back down. I see her take another guy up, and I said, dang, man, like, I don't know what made me say this, but I'm like, how many showers does she have to take a day? And he was like, no, there's just a little basin where she washes. I said, a bird bath?
Oh, no.
I said, man, what if she working overtime? I can't do it. But I say that whole story to say, as fine as those women were, the reason why I knew I wasn't going to pay for a prostitute, the reason why I knew that they couldn't make me, I didn't care how fine they were, because I feel like a man's ego, there's some pride in getting a beautiful woman where like, I got her. Right. Like whether it's through my game or my looks or whatever, like she likes me. If she likes any man with $40,
oh yeah,
there's no pride in that.
You can't turn the prostitute into a housewife, and at the end of the day, it's like, what are we really doing it for? So yeah, but if to piggyback off of that story, so you remember on the movie,
and let me just say this real quick. I did not get the prostitute. I did not buy one.
Full disclosure.
Yeah, I got to make sure that's known, because again, if my game and who I am can't attract you, I don't want you, because I can't be like, bro, look at who I got.
Right.
Well, you can get her too if you got
flex.
if you got $40, you can get her too.
Yeah,
anyway, go ahead. I just had to make sure it's clear. I did not get one.
He ain't do something strange with some change.
Not at all. Not at all.
So no, like the movie Life, even back like in the 20s when what was it, Claude Banks ended up going to the little gambling spot, and then the prostitute came through.
Yep.
And he gambled they booze money and the money back, and he was like, oh, let me guess, you was a quarter short. And he was like, yeah, man, but she was just, yeah, I heard it. Let's get up out of here. So I think historically, man, it's gone back even into the 20s, maybe even, before that. The only reason why I say that is because when I visited last year, I took my son to Oklahoma, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and a part of Black Wall Street, which is actually pretty dope. Like, we were on the street. They were kind of talking about all of this, and one of my homeboys, he went with me, him and his son too. They were talking about all the black businesses up and down the street on two sides. When you got to the I forgot if it was like the far east side, whatever they called it, it was like Sin City. And even back in the 20s, it was the tricking was kind of going on back there, and you knew after a certain hour, if you crossed that line, you knew what type of time you were on. And they said even people who weren't from that community, like the white folks who weren't from that community, but they still kind of mess with blacks in the 20s, they would kind of creep over and kind of get them mixed and see it. So it's been going on forever, and it's just modernized now to look like a different times.
Well, it is called, they say it's the oldest profession alive. Like, it's the oldest profession. But to stay on track here, let me ask you this. Why do some men feel like their only value is money?
I think probably because of the low self-esteem that they have, or
lack of confidence. Maybe they have some type of mental illness that wasn't checked. Maybe they like a mom issue, a dad issue, whatever the case may be. But I think it stems from a mental perspective and who they see themselves are. They equate that to their worth is the money that they make. And it's sad because you can have a guy who potentially may have gotten picked on throughout life and school, all these different things happen, and in their mind, they're like, oh, wait till I get some money. And I think it can go a couple different ways. They can get the money and then just want to try to buy the woman that they have, or they can get the money and be like kind of like bravado with it and evil with it, and like trying to entice and kind of manipulate and play. So I've seen it on both sides, unfortunately, but I think it's unchecked mental illness. I think it's unchecked self-esteem. That's why
it happens that way.
Man, this said mental illness. Like you went all the way with it.
Man, it's real.
I think some of that can be at play. I think for the most part, I agree with what you said initially. With a lot of it's just a lack of confidence. Also I think that men are visual creatures. So when you see a woman and we see women, to me, I think a lot of women look at guys and they think any man is in their league. Like they can get any man they want to. Most women. Because sometimes they're a little delusional with that.
That is true.
Men, I think we might shoot our shot at any woman, but we know when we overshoot.
We know your weight class.
You be like, man, hey, listen, I want Beyonce. I'm going to shoot the shot. If I get it, I'm that
it's
man.
It's a win.
Yeah, but I don't expect to get it. So I think guys know when a woman's kind of above the, we call it outkicking your coverage. I think the guys know when they about to outkick the coverage. And I think some of them feel like, well, if I can get that 10, I'll pay a little bit. Like, I don't mind, paying a rent or paying a little bill because I have more money than I have swag, or I have more money than I have presence or aura, so I can afford to lose some of that money and I can get that dime that I want.
So what do you think about, like if a guy, like what do you think, like that end goal, is it one of those things where they use the money to get the woman? Once they get the woman, is it a trophy thing? Do they plan on trying to keep this woman? Like, what do you think, like, that kind of dynamic looks like?
I think it's going to be different for each guy. But I think you have some that think she's staying for him and not for the money. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to have some that are realistic and know that, hey, if this money go, then she going to go too.
Oh, yeah.
So I really just think it's on the guy and how realistic he is with himself.
Because, so the reason why I asked that question, because I think we've heard, maybe we've seen marriages where it's kind of gone like that. We looking, or relationships, and we like, man, what you got going? The money dry up, and then boom, she packing up, she going on to the next thing. Or it could work from a guy, a female to a guy too. Like a guy was like, oh man, I'm getting this tax money. It is what it is. And then after tax season, they gone. They didn't use the money up. They didn't flip it 5, 6, 7 times. Because do you think that's a form of it too? Like if a woman's kind of leave, like I got these kids and I got tax dollars, is that a form of tricking too?
Well, see, I don't know. I think it is different for a woman because don't get me wrong. I know there's some women, usually Krugers, that will use that money to get the younger guy, whatever.
Marcus, darling.
Marcus. I do know that happens.
Yeah.
But I think usually if a woman's given a dude her money, she's already emotionally invested in him. So I don't think she's doing it to get him. I think she's doing it just to keep him happy or to make him feel like she's down or supportive or got his back. If a woman giving a dude her money, she thinks she's being a team player.
Got you. Okay.
So I do view that a little differently.
Okay.
But let me ask you this. We talked about why does a man think his only value is money? Why do some women lower their value for the money? Like, why do women make that exchange?
I don't know. I think maybe there's a couple different facets. So if we look historically, like the strip club, things of that nature, so that culture, some women are actually looking at it from a business perspective. Like they say, I'm gonna get my money, I'm gonna get in, I'm gonna get out. I got a number. Once I hit this number, I'm out and I'm doing whatever I need to do to fund what I want, what I'm trying to fund. And then you also have women who enjoy the culture, and it's a game to them. So they're gonna run up the bag as much as they can. And I think the minute they find out, like, this dude, I can't get away with it, like, they on to the next. And they may have enough respect because then things can start happening that they don't want to happen. So I think it's kind of twofold. I think in one sense they do it because it's lucrative and they're financing whatever they're trying to finance. And on the other side, they just in the game and it's a part of what they do.
See, I think it's lifestyle, just straight to the point lifestyle. Like, society really pushes this, I'm traveling the world, and, every woman wants to see the world and travel the world. And, I got the bags and I got the clothes and I got this and money. You need money to provide that. Right. And I think some women make it seem like without it, they'd be living paycheck to paycheck. And I don't think that's the reality for most. But if they can, get a guy that's going to provide these things for them and they don't have to do much but be pretty, I think some of them are going to take advantage of that situation.
So you mentioned the aspect of like the social media. So do you think it's one of those things where a guy, and this is it's funny, but it's not funny. So like a guy could be tricking off, doing what he doing on the vacation with his said woman or whomever is the recipient. She ain't posting no pictures with him. It's all, I'm at the beach, and he's sitting right across from her. They got this fine dining. He looked, and then he tried to jump in the picture. She ain't gonna post it.
Hey, there's a video that went around Facebook. I don't know if it was a skit or if it was real, but this girl's on vacation and she walk in the hotel room and she like, look at my view, and then she speeds past the guy on the bed. He like, bring that back here. You gonna show me? Yeah, I paid this. There's that. Well, again, I think it boils down to if we're being honest, a lot of the men. And we're not talking about professional athletes and things like that. I know those can be handsome men who got money and they don't care about spending. I get that. But just the average guy that might have some money that's spending, usually is probably not the most attractive man.
True.
So she probably don't want to show him because, she know that she a 10 and he a 2 and this ain't matching right.
Nah, the math ain't mathing. But then you'll also kind of see like those bait posts where maybe it's a Birkin bag or is this, and it goes back to you saying a lifestyle. Somebody has to keep or perpetuate a certain lifestyle and they really can't live it. So now they're trying to view it. So now it's sending a message to the guy. If you want to get with me, you see what I got. If you ain't coming like this, don't even step to me. And then now they're making a guy, a good dude potentially, feel like crap because he's like, well, shoot, I really like her. I want to do this, but man, my money's not like that. And then maybe he tried to work harder and come back. Now I could buy you. That's crazy.
Right. No, I agree. And I tell you what's real crazy, man, is I used to live in L.A. When I moved to L.A., it was a culture shock to see professional girlfriends. Professional girlfriends. I mean, women who ain't got no job. They drop dead gorgeous, like models or actors just drop dead gorgeous, have no job but got a BMW, an apartment, all the Gucci and Louis.
Yeah. And like, mostly athletes have them.
Athletes, well, out there, man, like you see, people who, if they got money,
right,
they just taking care of their woman. So let me ask you that. What's the line between I'm making sure my woman is good and I'm tricking?
I mean, just kind of what you said. So like if you're obviously a committed relationship and you doing for yours and y'all have that mutual agreement is totally separate from a guy who may be in the lifestyle. He can afford to drop this type of bread and he's in the limelight, and I think it's more so just like a game for him. So he's like, okay, the baddest chick right now, I'm gonna spend this bread. We gonna walk around. She's walking around with him, and then either when he gets tired of her, now he's on to the next best thing. So it happens that way too, and I've seen it played out on social media. I ain't gonna name drop who the artist is, but I've seen this particular artist got this woman, throw the bag, entice him with the jewels, all this other stuff, and then they start feeling a certain type of way, the woman, and then the next thing you know, that emotional attachment, he like, nah, I didn't sign up for this, and then boom, he on to the next one, and then now he's been damaged potentially a decent woman who was getting that type of bag, and then he's on to the next, and it's just a cycle, just repeating itself over and over and over.
Yeah, and see, I don't think it's a fine line at all between tricking and taking care of your woman. To me, I think it's very clear to see. Mm-hmm. Tricking is when the woman would normally have no interest in you, mm-hmm. and she's there because of what you're buying or providing. And taking care of your woman is a woman, like you said, where y'all vibe, y'all connect, y'all would like each other regardless of money, and y'all look out for one another.
Right.
So like, hey, babe, my rent is short. I don't know what I'm going to do. Hey, sweetheart, I got you. We in a committed relationship. We've been together a while. I'm going to make sure you good. And then, because everybody has ups and downs. And, maybe I'm having a hard time right now. Dang, my car broke down. And she's like, well, babe, I got some extra money. Y'all looking out for each other. Y'all making sure y'all both straight. Y'all. And then if y'all do take it further, y'all trying to build together.
Right.
You're not just eating off of me. I say it all the time. Like a lot of women nowadays want a sponsorship instead of a partnership.
That's true.
Sponsorship is tricking. Partnership is making
building.
Sure your woman is straight or your guy is straight.
And I think so. That last statement that you made, I think that's where you get because a lot of times that part doesn't play out on social media. Like people not just posting like they every day, oh, I took care of my woman, I did this, I did that. But if you have a person to hold you down, they can hold you down in the tough times, and you guys last the tough, the tidal wave. At the end of the day, those are the desired relationships, and they're long lasting because when y'all start seeing that finish line and both of y'all are up and everything is good, Y'all know where y'all came from together, and y'all basically helped each other. Now we right here. Ain't nothing coming in between that. So like that's an actual true relationship. That should be relationship goals right there.
Yeah, and I think something too, women got to understand that if a man is paying, right, he wanting something for that money. I'm not talking just sexually either. I mean, we know he want that, but what I'm saying is, as you get older, and as you may not look, have the same value and appearance, and I know women, you know, everybody gets better with age, but the reality is, most of us don't.
Everybody got an expiration date on looks.
Yeah, everyone, male, female, everybody.
Yep.
You know, so as you start hitting that level to where you maybe not, you don't look as good as you did when you were 25, you know, what happens when he's like, my money still has value, has the same value, if not more. It's increased. Mm-hmm. And now I want the other 10, because now you're 8, which you're still a beautiful woman. I'm not saying you're not, but now you're 8. I want the 10 again, and my money can still buy the 10. I think women have to really realize that when you get in those type of relationships, it is, you know, you guys are trading something. You know, you're giving him a value for his value of the money, and you may not be building that connection to keep somebody connected.
So that's why I brought up the mental aspect of this for both men and women, because at some point, let's look at it from the standpoint of a guy gets older and his pockets get bigger. Now, he still, there are young ladies out there that like the old guys, and he break a little bit of bread. He could have 3, 4, 5 girlfriends. They all know their position, and it works for him. And then maybe the one that kind of fell out of that, now what do you think that does to her mentally? Because maybe 5 years prior, she was the hottest thing on the scene, and now she's all pumped up. Everything is good. Maybe she didn't manage the money well. Maybe she didn't have her 401k that it was properly saved. And she moves to that last slot, or she moves out of his top 5, top 10, and boom, now those same guys that she turned down, now maybe that's her new pool. And then, but now they're looking like, when you have value, I really, really wanted you, or what they perceive value. Now that your stock has dropped, I'm gonna get a cents on the dollar now. So like, just think what that does to somebody mentally, and then they start, if they're not mentally strong enough, and then they may start spiraling or thinking like, man, what's my worth? I'm not any good. Now they have to reevaluate life. So that's why I say that mental aspect is really there. We just got to kind of figure out like, okay, what are you really trying to do this for?
No, I hear that. Do you think that social media has made it to where women equate effort to with how much a man spends?
Oh, absolutely, man. Social media is not real. Like at the end of the day, social media is not real. It's a simulation in some aspects.
Except for Dissecting Tyrone. That's real.
No, that's real.
Keep tuning in and subscribe.
Yeah. And that's why I said in some aspects, I think it's just these trends. And if the algorithms are pumping, like, this is what we want to see, this is what we want to see, it's like, no, it's in my feed, because sometimes drama sells, and it sells big. So I think it's just the perception. But then when we get past that, I think there are enough people on social media is like, no, I can decipher between that. But unfortunately, the ones with the voice, they're controlling the narratives to make it seem it's that type of way.
No, I agree. And I definitely think too that, you know, a lot of women do equate effort to expense, because it's kind of like, you know, what restaurant did he take me to? How much? Remember the whole debate on I'm not going to
Applebee's
Cheesecake Factory. Yeah. I'm not going to Cheesecake Factory, you know, because, you know, I deserve more than that. I deserve better than that. And I'm just like, man, like, what world are we living in?
When did the game change? Because you'd be happy. So you remember when we was kids, man, and just younger, and you have a date, and it wouldn't even know funny stuff, man. You can go to McDonald's, and they was talking about, oh, babe, you can supersize it. Like back in the day, like you do that, you was good.
Yeah, you was that dude.
Yeah, so you go from that, but I still think it boiled down to his upbringing, her upbringing, how they were uprooted to be appreciative of things. And yes, you can go splurge every now and then. I think, back then, I mean, what's a restaurant that you can go to that would have been like the oohs and ahs? I think like Old Chicago.
Yeah, Applebee's.
Or Applebee's.
Yeah.
Like that was like, oh man, that's like the Jake Gilbert's. And if you really had bread, obviously you was going to some stuff. But most folks back then, everybody was on the same level playing field with everything.
And women, I remember back then, women be like, let's get the 2 for $25. Like
Right.
they thought it was cool to save some money.
Absolutely.
And now it's kind of like, you know, if you didn't spend enough. I remember I went on a date and took this girl to the Salted Edge. Good date. Like,
Okay.
I have nothing bad to say about the date at all. But it was my first time going there. I didn't realize I was about to spend $240 on 2 people.
Oh, yeah,
I was
you gonna
like,
break some bread.
yeah, I was like, man, again, good date. She was great company. Like, I have nothing bad to say about the date, but I'm like, this would not have been a first date. I was not trying to impress you. This would not have been a first date for me if I knew it was $240.
So you gonna hit this message button because the cheat code to that is those type of restaurants. That's a solo date.
Message.
Or anniversary.
Or
Like,
anniversary.
I think I even told her, I said, man, it's an anniversary type
Right.
place, man.
So you set the bar high on that first date. So let me ask you,
Unintentionally.
but was she the type of young lady or woman to now take that and say, oh, we started here and that you got to stay there?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We didn't date too much beyond that,
Okay.
but I feel like she would have been fine going to the Cheesecake Factory, and that's what I tell people too. Back when that whole debate was going on, I was like, man, if a woman like you, man, we can go to the park and walk around with ice cream.
Bro,
like
y'all
if a
can go to
woman,
the moon and back.
man, I say it all the time, man. Women got these, and I don't imply that women don't have standards for men they like. You know, we all have standards, but what I mean is all these crazy standards and expectations. Women have those for the men they don't like.
That's true.
And when they like you, man, a woman will come to your house and sit down and really Netflix and chill. I'm not talking no funny stuff. No, you know, I'm
Yeah.
trying to get her in bed. I mean, she'll really come by and kick her shoes off and put her feet on the couch and just put her head on your shoulder and watch a movie because she like you.
Right. And I think the thing that we're kind of we're not missing it, but just from a society perspective, putting too much value on money. What does it say in the Bible? Like the for the love of money is like the root of all evil.
Right.
So like you're putting so much emphasis on these things. Like what are you doing for yourself? Like if the money dries up, do you have any intellect about you? How are you as a partner? Like how are all these different things? And then you equate it, put it back into the mix. Oh, well, I want this type of, then when you get into the people who want a certain type of relationship, it's like, okay, but you leave that, the money is important because we need it to survive. And yes, you're trying to get a bag at some point. Take the money off the table. What's left? If that's all that's to the money, then you need to go back and reevaluate some things and then kind of get back in the game and have a better perspective.
Man, I'll never forget. I need to care more about money than I do, if I'm being honest, because I need to be better at saving and investing and all that stuff. I don't care about money. Money has never been what was valuable in my life. It's always been the connections with people, the relationships I have with people. But I remember one time when I was younger, my pastor at the time went to a billionaire's family member's funeral. It was a billionaire. I want to say sister-in-law. I could be wrong, but passed away. And I remember the next Sunday, the pastor preached, and he was like, everybody in here would trade places with him. He's a billionaire, and he couldn't write a check big enough to bring his loved one back. And that stuck with me so much, man. Yeah, hold on, let me get the
Message.
But he said he couldn't write a check big enough to bring his loved one back. And we over here envying him because of his banking account, and he's envying us because we still have our loved one.
I think the thing we're not also talking about, because we're looking at it from a cultural perspective, obviously our culture that we see play out on social media, but the bigger issue is from a government perspective. I think that's where the mental brainwashing and we're seeing certain things. They're putting things in front of us, like from a computer, and just the constant messaging over and over and over. So I think it starts there, but we don't really attack it, or we don't look at it from that perspective, because it's like, okay, once it's dropped off in our culture, now we got talking points. And so I think we need to look at where this stems from and how to start combating it if you kind of find yourself kind of swaying off into that lifestyle.
No, I get it. I get it. And, you know, at the end of the day, I would just love to see us get back to character, like character. And I know it'll never be 100%. There's always going to be, you know, men that are going to lead with their wallet, and there's going to be women that's going to, you know, want a bill paid and want the rent paid and all that stuff. But I'm like, man, we sit here and we complain about how there's piss in the pool. Remember our piss in the pool episode?
Yeah.
Man, so many women commented on that and shared it and talked about how, yeah, there's so much piss in the pool. But also, don't we kind of create those environments when we leave with the wallet, when we talk about, you know, if he ain't paying my bills and I'm not going half, and, you know, if he can't keep my standard of living that I live right now, then I don't want him. And I'm like, that makes no sense to me. It's like, so this man literally, and I know there's been other guys who said this on podcasts, but, you know, he said, I think Wolf said it. He was like, so you mean to tell me that you're paying everything by yourself and that a man is willing to step in and say, I'll take half of that responsibility off of you, and that's not good enough? He's got to pay for it all? And then it's like, well, what do you do with your money? And you hear women say, well, I'm going to invest it. I'm going to do all this stuff. Well, if that's what we're doing, then why don't we just pull it together and we can do all these things together? We can pay our bills together. We can invest together. We can do all of that. But there's so many, this mind frame that a provider is somebody that takes care of everything financially so I don't have to, and then I'm able to do whatever I want with my money. But don't worry, he can trust me to take care of him.
I think that's where we have to truly look at a situation and say, okay, are we aligned? Are we equally yoked? Like when you're getting into a situation, because again, I fault the person getting into a relationship with that other person who's just about the money, and then vice versa. You have to start showing some type of discipline and saying, you know what, I'm not willing to waver for any of my values. Yeah, you fine, but you ain't that fine for me to compromise anything that I have going on, and you got to stand on business. And it's the same thing with women. If a woman sees a guy like, oh, man, he got motion, this, and this, and maybe you thinking about, okay, trading this for trading that, you got to stand on your square. You got to have a better sense about yourself and see who you are as a person and what you're not willing to compromise on. And guess what? The fact of the matter is, it's going to be more people out here. You just have to get out, mingle, put yourself in right positions to find the person that truly matches your energy. And that's, in my opinion, that would be the best way if we're talking about like getting this now into a relationship.
No, I agree with that 1,000%. And man, hey, listen, I'm old. I know I look a little younger than I am, but I'm older. In my generation, now it's like it ain't tricking if you got it. It was tricking. Where I come from, it was tricking. And again, most of the men that I knew had no problem providing for their woman. They had no problem. Man, again, in my day, the man handed the woman his check. Mm-hmm. It was like, you know, I went out, worked made all this money. Here, babe, you facilitate that. You handle that.
And she gonna make it work. She would budgeting everything.
She would make it work.
That's the teamwork, and that's what but like that's what society misses sometimes, is just that teamwork. Somebody who both of you guys are on that level and you guys are working to a common good or goal, whatever that looks like for y'all. And it's different. That's why people got to stay out of people's business, because we see one thing and like the oohs and ahs and she's getting this and she's getting that, but we ain't seeing on the backside how it really is, like what he has to do for this. Maybe he's working so many hours and he can't even get sleep. Maybe she's the recipient, but he's treating her like crap, and we don't see that on the back end. We just see everything that's posted good on Instagram or Facebook or whatever it is.
Well, and that's big what you talked about right there, where you say he's treating her like crap. A lot of times when a man got that level of money, and I'm talking about where he can buy the Birkin bags, man, usually they got multiple women, and they feel like they can do whatever they want because you're dependent upon him.
And he thinks that he owns you and he can buy you. And again, you get wrapped up into these bright lights, and before you know it, you sucked up and you in the game. And there's always a way out, but you have to be real with yourself and put your foot in the sand and say, you know what, I'm not taking this anymore. I don't care if the bag runs out or whatever it is, and you just keep it going.
Yeah, and you know what I hate, man? And I actually commented on a post recently that was talking about this. I hate when the women say, I'm tired of men complaining about being used for money they ain't got. That bothers my soul, because I'm like, you know what? I don't care, because a lot of times we equate tricking to a man who has a lot of money and he's spending it on a woman to get whatever. But, you know, tricking can also be a man who ain't got a lot of money, but he's giving the money he does have to a woman, again, who's not interested to get her attention or whatever. But I hate when women say, if he ain't got a lot of money, he ain't no trick, or ain't nobody using him for his money. But here's the reality. Whatever I'm giving you is easing your load.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm giving you is making your life easier. If all I'm doing is paying $100 cell phone bill, that's $100 that you get to keep in your pocket.
Right.
If I'm paying $500 towards your rent, that's $500 you get to keep in your pocket. So I feel like a man has the right to be concerned about being used for money,
Oh yeah.
no matter how much money it is.
And you have to look at that person, because like, what's their ulterior motive? Like, what are they really trying to accomplish? And if you feel like you're being used, like you gonna have to wake up.
And that's the key. The key isn't how much money he's giving or how much money he's spending or how much money she got out of him. It's the fact that he feels used for it. Because again, I think a man can give a woman $500 to help with her rent and feel proud and be like, man, I was there for my woman. I was able to look out for her. And then a man can give another woman, the same man give another woman $500 and be like, dang, man, she got me.
Yeah.
Because it's about whether he feels like he was used or he feel like he was being useful. I think Charleston White says, I don't care if you use me, just don't misuse me.
That's true. That's true. And I also think that people who are genuine, they are spending the bread, or maybe what's called tricking to some extent. You go through these experiences, learn from them. Okay, you got one time. How did that make you feel? Let me revamp, and I need to change my mindset. It's something that I need to change about me to attract a woman who's right for me. Because again, the flashy lights, you got a little bit of money, they gonna take takers are gonna take. And once they take, they gonna use, you gonna feel some type of way. And it's like, man, but again, learn from that situation, move on, keep it moving. And here's the thing. If you're working and you're doing what you need to do, and you're not worried about trying to impress or trying to pay this woman or pay this woman, the right one gonna come into your life. It'll be when you least expect it, and that's the one that's for you.
No, I agree with that. Let me ask you this. Have you ever tricked? Have you ever been a trick?
Absolutely not. 1,000% no. I'm not spending. And again, it's a difference between me being in a relationship and me being nice, doing something for my partner, and vice versa. In the dating game or just being single, it's like, okay, we go on dates and people are like, oh, well, you going to spend something, this, and this. A date, it doesn't have to cost a lot. If she's with you, she with you.
And fellas, not to jump in here, but fellas, taking a woman on a date is not tricking.
Right.
Unless you're doing something super crazy. And see, I consider myself a romantic type. I told you my ex was like, when she got mad, she's like, you a loving ass nigga.
Right.
Right. So my buddy tells me all the time, you a loving ass. Like, because, I like romantic things. I watch romantic movies. I do all that stuff. So I don't mind, putting a little money into an effort, an idea that I have for a date that I think is going to make things special. But a date is not tricking. Like, if you ask a woman to Applebee's or to a Cheesecake Factory, pick up the tab. Like, you asked her out. If y'all go Dutch or whatever, that's your business. But you ain't tricking if you pay for the date.
So, and then I will say this. I think for me, I look at it, and some of my partners operate like this. If I planned on doing something anyway, like if you getting in that trick territory, for example, if I was planning on to go XYZ, everything's already done. I meet a young lady and it's like, okay, well, shoot, this is already paid for. I just want somebody to accompany me and we chop it up. It's just a different dating experience. So you can look at that like somebody who has maybe some discretionary funds to be able to do something like that. I'm not saying that's everybody's situation, but even with that, like that's just a date. I wouldn't even consider that tricking because it's just another opportunity. You were gonna come and accompany me, and we were chopping it up, and everything was good, and it is what it is. So
no, definitely, at the end of the day, I just feel like, when you're being used for money,
right,
and when she's about that lifestyle and all the other stuff, and if you're okay with that, if you like it, I love it. If you're okay with that, that's fine. But I think a lot of times men do that and expect this woman to love him for him and all these things. And I just hope they realize that's not about to happen.
I will say you hit on something. It messes up the game, the dating game per se, if someone leads off so much that certain women are so receptive of it, they make it the norm. And I think that's where we were trying to go with this, when now this is the norm, and then they run into a real man who's like, nah, I'm not going for that. And then they like, oh, you brokey and you this, and this song's about it. It's like, bruh, I'm broke because I'm not going to finance what you got going on. I don't even know you. That's crazy work. So that's why I say I just think this stigma has stemmed from a lot of guys who may just be on some maybe lame, and now they just have to pay, and it's like you don't have to do that. You're just being lazy.
Well, and what a crazy thing too. Hey, real quick, let me say this. I was gonna say this earlier about the paying for the dates.
Okay.
I teach my sons, and because I heard it once, and I love this saying. He says, if a man doesn't pay, he wasn't raised right, and if a woman doesn't offer, she wasn't raised right. So when you go on, we take a woman on a date, maybe not the first date or the second date, but by the third date, she should be offering, and the man should take care of it. Now, if you guys get to where y'all be going on multiple dates and she wants to take care of some here, then that's cool.
Yeah.
But if she don't offer, she wasn't raised right. But if he don't pay, he wasn't raised right. So I teach that to my children. And to me, again, fellas, that's how you kind of know when you're not tricking is when she's willing to. Like, I got this one. You're like, no, I appreciate what I got it.
That means that her level of interest in you is high, and
right.
You know that you're getting something, at least for the face value, you're getting something that is potentially genuine, and you can rock with that and roll with it. And I've had an instance where a woman has been like, "Hey, I got this because I actually invited you," and it's like, no, I definitely appreciate the gesture. Maybe you get us on the next time or whatever it is, but for a first date, it's like, no, I agree with you. I think a guy is just what we do. Go ahead and pay for that first date, get it out the way, get to know each other. If it's more dates after that, it's always going to be opportunities. And then it could come in a different form. She may be like, hey, let's go on a picnic, and she may be providing the food. She may be able to cook good, and y'all sit down and y'all good. So it's a trade-off, a healthy balance. But I think to your point, that's a great rule of thumb to start off with. And if you do that, I think you'd be good.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. That's why I teach it to my sons.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. One of our questions on here is, can love ever grow from a relationship that started with money as a foundation? Those guys that we think that they want them to love them, can it grow out of that?
Man, I will say it can. Does it happen often? I don't think so. And the reason why I say yes in some instances is because it may start off that way, and then somewhere along the way, maybe it was a life event that happened, and she had to lean on that man, or that man was able to express himself, and then he opened something up in her, and now she's receptive. And then maybe she wasn't on the top end of like, oh no, you got to do this, you got to do this. She has some understanding. They meshed well, something happened, and now they they got a good relationship. So.
Well, and I think, sex is a binder also.
True.
And, it ties you emotionally. There's soul ties. There's all these things involved with it. So I think if you guys are being intimate, having sex and doing all this stuff, I think it can grow from that. Like, it can be a situation of, you know what, I feel like I love this guy, my feelings have grown and things like that. My only concern is that relationships have ups and downs.
Right.
So what happens if you are on the down? Do you guys continue? I mean, does it continue to grow after there's some down times? That would be my concern. So I do agree with what you said. It's possible, but it usually doesn't happen that way.
And I think the possibility, like, that guy would probably have to be loaded to where it's not. And then she just like, oh, I love it over here because she sees what comes with it. She plays her position. But to your point, if it ever dried up, like if they got 15, 20 years, like after the fact, then I could probably see, okay, it could last if something kind of dried up. But usually,
or children.
Yeah, definitely children. But if it's short lived, probably not. If it's one of them things where like I met you 2 years later, I got to file for bankruptcy. I'm pretty sure she out of here.
Hey, it might be out of there if she do love you.
Right,
so
right.
If she wasn't in love from the jump, then it's definitely out of there.
I'm out of there.
Yeah. Another question we have: what does it look like for a man to lead with value instead of his wallet? That's a good one. What's it look like when a man leads with who he is instead of what he has? What's that look like?
I mean, you're gonna get a different type of a brother right there, because he knows who he is as a person. He knows what he brings to the family unit, and that is something that is going to be desired and reciprocated. He's going to make a safe space for his lady and his family, and in return, instead of having to pay for that love that he's truly going to get, like, that's the payment on the other side, because now the two mesh together. So a guy who has his values and who he's on his square and got everything going, you're gonna outweigh money 1,000% over somebody who's coming with money, because whatever comes with that money, we don't know if it's genuine on the other end. At least his values or what he's saying and his actions are going to be genuine.
And I think that key word is genuine. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think what it looks like for a man to lead with who he is instead of what he has, it's about a man who's genuine.
Yep.
So he's not coming at you with, he's not saying I'm not going to pay for this or pay for that because I'm worried about you using me, and he's not going to try to buy you, but he's also going to take a step back if you approach him like that. So I think he just comes very genuine and true to who he is.
Yep, and not wavering for anything that doesn't serve his purpose or knocks his peace away from where he's at.
Right. Now let me ask you this. This is one that a lot of us have experienced. Have you had a time where you felt a woman was trying to make you a trick, where she was trying to get something out of you?
Absolutely.
All right, you got to speak on that.
Yeah, so it was an instance where somebody kind of tested the water, like had some mutual things going, and like, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, I'm a little short on this, so can you, do you think you can help out with this? And I'm like, I said, hold up, we not even a item. Matter of fact, we not even on that level. So for you to ask me that, like, I got goes super quick, like, do number, who this, and it's just like I didn't even entertain that. So it's like happened like one time, but it obviously doesn't happen often. But the minute it happened, I shut it down. Not even interested in that, because I'm like, this is crazy. Like, who are you to think that I'm just gonna give you my money that I work hard for? I'm taking food out of my son's mouth. Like, you absolutely out your mind. Absolutely not.
Hey, man, listen, I think every guy has experienced that woman that's like, oh, man, I'm having a bad day. Baby, what's wrong? What's wrong, baby? I'm short on my rent. I don't know where I'm going to get it from. My family don't support me. They cut my hours at work, and I just don't know. Well, baby, how much you need? $700. Oh, you need $700? Yeah. But you know what I do? We all have experienced that. And again, if we're locked in, it's my woman. Don't even come at me like that. Just be like, babe, I got, I got something going on. I said, what's up? But if that friend woman, I just don't know what I'm gonna do. And I this is my go-to. Listen, I'm a prayer warrior. I am a prayer warrior, and I know God is a way maker. And we all, I have tough times too, man. I just have to really go to God in prayer when those times hit, and he'll always take care of me.
Right.
So do you mind if I pray for you?
Right.
That's my go-to answer, is we going to God in prayer, because God did not put it on my heart to give you your $700.
Yeah, because God gonna see you through.
He gonna see you through.
Because at the end of the day, he ain't gonna put too much on you that you can't handle.
He's not gonna put more on you than you can bear. Because I ain't got it. And that's different from like I have friends. Don't get me wrong. I have friends that'll be like, man, I'm going through it. I got this. And most of them, I tell them I'll pray for them too. It's a little more genuine when I say it to them.
Right.
But don't get me wrong. If I got a friend and they're like, man, do you have anything you can help me with? Man, yeah, I'm going to look out. But that's a loan, and that's, hey, you're paying me back. And, again, this is a friend who reciprocated to me. Again, it's all about how it's done and how things are moved. But if we're dating or trying to date, or I'm interested in you, and you pop up with some, man, every time I talk to you, you got a bill that's due and you short on everything, then we probably not going to talk too long.
No.
You need to be working. You need to be at work instead of on this date.
Yeah, and that's what I said. Like the one instant, like, I shut it down quick, but I look at it myself from the standpoint of, I don't like asking anybody for money, for help. And if I'm truly in a bind, like, I believe, man, I can get out here, I can referee some basketball games, I can hustle, I could use my hands, my talents, whatever it is. I'm going to make something shake at the end of the day. But then I also look at, heaven forbid, I don't even try to get myself in a situation to where I'm down bad like that. And life happens. I've been through layoffs, like, different things have happened like that. But me, like, with the prayers, the manifestation, I was able to basically make it through that situation. And I look at myself not even having to borrow that money and still go out and do what I need to do. So for somebody to just ask me to give me my money. I don't even know you like that. It's crazy work, and I'm not doing that.
Well, and I'll be honest, man. Like you said, we all have down times. I had situations that affected us, and I got some brothers that if I need it, I have gone to. I've went to my boy Richard, my boy Bam, Mike, like my sister, my cousin. Like I got a good support system. So if I need something, I can reach out to them. I tell you what I'm not gonna do is reach out to somebody I went on a date with.
Oh, absolutely not. That's crazy work.
And that's crazy work to me. So it's like, hey, this woman, if she really needs it that bad, I'm sure that she has some type of support system that she can go to. If not, again, we can pray about it, and I'm sure that a solution will come. But that is what makes me feel like a woman is trying to make me a trick, is when it's like, hey, the rent is due. Again, not a friend, but a woman I'm romantically involved with, and that's another thing too that kills me is you'll have women, you'll sleep with you guys will have sex a couple times, and now it's like, oh, now he got to pay my bills, and I'm like, no, that's not us being locked in just because we had sex. I get it that if you have sex with somebody, you shouldn't be out here struggling, but if we have sex and we're in a relationship and we're building something, you shouldn't be out here struggling or me watching you struggle. Us just having sex, sadly, it shouldn't be that way, but that's the world that we live in. Sex is not a binder to where now we're in a committed relationship and I got to make sure all your needs are covered.
Right. Because y'all, before y'all jumped into bed, everything was cool, and now you do it. Now you have an issue, so it might not even be on some tricking. That person might be a scammer, because she may try to, or he may try to see what's in your pockets and see how far that you can go, and you're gonna let them go with it, and they out here scamming you.
Yeah, I agree, and I always get leery anytime a woman, and again, I'm not. If you're my woman, I make sure you're straight. If we're in a committed relationship and we are taking care of each other,
yeah.
So I'm not the guy that's like, oh, she's using me or she used me. I'm not that person, but I do feel like I'm pretty good at recognizing when a user is in play.
Mm-hmm. Run your pockets.
Yeah,
extortion.
Hey, and let me ask you this: if a woman is able to get that money out of a guy, is she wrong for that?
I think morally she's wrong, but he's just as wrong for giving it up to her, because it's like, yo, like, you got to stand your ground. At the end of the day, like, what are we out here doing? And if you think, I think what it is, man, I think sometimes guys may think that's how they buy love. And if they feel, and I'm not even saying like on the tricking aspect, but if they're truly emotionally locked in with this woman because they feel like, oh my God, she's this, she's that, maybe she's my world. That's a form of them trying to make a payment for their love and thinking that that's going to keep them. But if she ain't got no love for you, you contribute into whatever fun that she's building. So,
no, I agree. And again, like I would just want to reiterate that a man doesn't have to give a woman $1 million to be a trick.
Right.
If he's taking away from his home and giving it to her, and she has no genuine interest in him, that's a trick.
And I've heard it, I think kind of getting back to that initial, like that whole Applebee's debate, I've seen a guy, or like, and I don't know if it was joking, if it was just floating around on social media, but a guy was like, hey, do you mind if I take care of your lunch? I'm going to send you some on Cash App. I think he sent her like $25 for a lunch for one person. Bro, you can clean up for lunch. She was like, $25? What is this about? And it's like, yo, like, why are we like this? Because at the end of the day, are you going out to a 5-star restaurant for lunch on a regular? Like, is this what you do with your money? Because if so, then he's in the wrong tax bracket, talking to the wrong woman. If you expect that, so I think a lot of times we have to be realistic. And if you normally spend $10, $15 for lunch, and somebody's giving you $25 because they're like, hey, I want to lighten the load, or I'm thinking about you, or I just want to make sure that you eat good. And you turn your face up at that, and you don't even spend that much on a regular basis, like something wrong with you.
Yeah, well, and I'll tell you this, man. I remember I used to have a Dodge Magnum on 24s. I used to love that car. And my rims got stolen. And at the time, I had a woman who was interested in me that was a doctor. And so she had money. And, and she was just like, I'll buy you rims. And I said, no, you're not. Because I knew I didn't have any interest in her. We became friends. But she wanted more than friendship, and I knew that I didn't. And I remember she needed help lighting her fireplace. She had a new house. She needed help lighting it. I know you talked about this before, but I go over there and I help her light it, and she's like, "Go look in that back room." So I go look in the room, and there's like a 75 or 80-inch TV. This was really a really big TV back in those days that everybody just didn't have like they do now. And I was like, "Wow, that's nice." And she's like, "That's your Christmas present." And I was like, "I don't want it." And I remember she got mad, and she was like, "What man doesn't want, to go horseback riding on beaches and all this stuff?" And I said, "Listen, my mom told me that if I don't have any interest in a person, don't take anything from them."
Right.
Because gifts come with expectations. And if you're not willing to fulfill those expectations, then don't take nothing. And I think sometimes women have to learn, like you talked earlier about some men that think they're his property.
Mm-hmm.
Some men are going to be like, "Hey, listen, you are an investment. I put all this money into getting you." Because sometimes, and it's crazy, I think you did talk about mental health, and I said that's weird to me, but I kind of get it now because with thinking about this, because some men will spend thousands of dollars on women, tens of thousands of dollars on women who they haven't even been intimate with yet, haven't been on a date with yet. Like, they're just trying to get their attention with these things. And that definitely got to be a mental health issue, because that's crazy to me.
And you going through wits end, and it's just like our last episode, the guys who are in the inbox and they've sent over 500 messages talking to themselves. Imagine if the woman was like, "Okay, well, the woman got the upper hand now. Well, send me $500 and we can go on a date." I bet you they sending bing, 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 cash at whatever, but you don't know obviously what you get on the other end. But it's unfortunate. Like I said, it's just the mental illness, and you got something that's unchecked.
Well, and ladies, again, remember that $500 comes with an expectation.
Oh yeah.
And some of them be like, "Well, I didn't say we're going on a date. I just told him I need some money. He sent it."
Nah.
Yeah, but it comes with an expectation. And when that man comes to cash in that check,
he said, "I'm from around the way. I'm leaving here with
man,
something."
I'm leaving here with something. I think people have to realize that, and at the end of the day, I think you just really have to think about what you want out of life and what you want out of relationships. If you want a genuine bond and a genuine connection with somebody, then men, you cannot lead with money. And women, you cannot make them lead with money. You can't put it out there as if that they can buy you, because you'll never get a true, genuine connection doing that.
That's a fact.
All right. Well, everybody, that is our episode for the evening. Do you want to say anything before you head out?
Man, I think this was another great episode. Please, if you are looking to get into a committed relationship, the money needs to be off the table. It needs to be off the table to try to attract someone. Money is important for us to survive, and talking about your finances and maybe futures, absolutely. But when we're talking from the standpoint of, "Oh, I have to come with X to be able to buy your love," stay away from that. Like, find somebody who is equally yoked with you, who's into you just like you're into them, and then y'all go from there and run the bag up together. That's my advice. Let's run it up together.
Yeah, and like I always say, man, look for partnership, not sponsorship, because you do want somebody you can build with. Everybody wants to be a part of an empire. Not many people want to build an empire. So I agree with you 100%. But that's it for today, man. Happy Halloween to everybody out there. Be safe. And when it comes to dating, be a treat. Don't be the trick.
Ain't no tricking on this end.
All right, y'all. I'm Jason.
And I'm Brandon.
Y'all have a good one.
All right, peace.
Peace.